right, welcome in to Green on Sports. Hold on. Shut that off. Sorry, that was supposed to be a backdrop, but it was kind of giving glare issues. But welcome in. It is January 22nd of the 2025 year. We are here. We just had probably the greatest weekend of football of the season. And thank you, Noah, for tuning in. But yeah, so we just had probably the greatest weekend of sports, football necessarily specifically, for a good while. And hopefully this next weekend lives up to the hype as well. We set up the conference championship games. But the college football national championship was this Monday, and that game was great. It was Notre Dame, Ohio State, two iconic franchises, or not, I guess not franchises, but two iconic schools, colleges, and they combined, and they just went at it, and it was great. It was like a two-score game, but necessarily it was really closer than that. And then the Ohio State, they just got the field goal at the end to kind of ice the game, kind of win it for sure. But yeah, great game overall. Notre Dame had it. Like, they could have had a better game necessarily, obviously, because they could have won. But Ohio State is just too good. They are that team. They were that team this year, especially after beating Oregon. Everybody had full faith in them winning because Oregon was the best team. That was the only team Ohio State did lose to or really even struggle with necessarily. And then they beat them. And so everybody was like, well, this might be Ohio State's year. And it turns out it was. And rightfully so. Their seniors and their coach, like, everybody was playing to play. Everybody was playing to, play. Like, they were playing for the coach. They were playing just so hard and so well. And they got young talent on that team that's so impressive, so good. Like Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs. Then they had like I said, the seniors and the older people, Will Howard, Jack Sawyer, the rest of the D-line, and Mika Ibuka. Yeah, they had talent everywhere. That talent was playing at or above expectation all year, and they exploded. And they just showed why they should have been national champions. And then Ryan Day, everybody's talking about, he was like on the hot seat. I don't think Ryan Day was necessarily ever on the hot seat. Ohio State, the school itself, like the athletic director, all that, never said Ryan Day was on the hot seat. Just the fans said it because he couldn't beat Michigan. But he's like third best coach all time winning percentage wise of like any game, like anybody who's played above 70 or coached above 70 games. And the other like three people they showed on the graphic when they were talking about this was like black and white photos. Like, these people aren't even in this era. So like right now, Ryan Day is the best college football coach you can have. And then he's got the best team you can have. So of course they won the Natty. But Notre Dame, they fought hard. They fought a really good fight. Marcus Freeman, also one of the top coaches in college football. But just kind of got like outlasted in that game, which, it's fine. Notre Dame's not going anywhere. They'll be in the 12-team playoffs, assuming that it is the 12-team playoffs next year. They will be there next year. So will Ohio State. So maybe we'll see this game again in a different light. Probably same coaches, but different players, of course. Maybe we'll see it again. Who knows if it'll be for the Natty. Maybe it'll be for earlier round in the playoffs. But yeah, hopefully we see this game again because that was a great game. Had some buddies of mine over to watch it, and it was just, wow. It was like very exciting. Good for the national championship. Really good game. Really exciting. We needed that after the whole 12-team playoffs and how like having to wait so long to get there. Then, of course, it looked really good for college to have a great game like that right after 4 great NFL games. So that's good. Some other stuff about college. We had Quinn Ewers also declare for the draft. I don't think that happened before last episode, but even if it did, just very interesting to see him go because you're going to have now Will Howard, Riley Leonard, the two Natty quarterbacks. You're going to have Quinn Ewers. Obviously, you're going to have the top two, Shedeur and Cam. Alar for Penn State is going back to Penn State. Carson Beck is not entering the draft. I can't think of who else is entering the draft other than those five. But I'm sure there'll be some. But those are the five most notable quarterbacks. I honestly think Quinn Ewers, I'm taking him fifth out of that group. The Steelers, they need a quarterback. They could get like one of those later quarterbacks. The Jets could get one of those later quarterbacks. There's a few teams that could get one of those later quarterbacks, like maybe second, third round. And then, of course, there's probably some sleepers out there that some other teams will snag, like some Brock Purdy style, Tom Brady style. Well, obviously not. Oh, probably not Tom Brady, but like later round style picks like Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy. But, of course, right now, not a lot of people know who those are because that's why they get drafted in those rounds. But, yeah, those Quinn Ewers definitely after that national championship game became fifth-place quarterback out of those top five notable quarterbacks, which, that's not the worst case scenario for Quinn Ewers. He's going to the draft. He's going to be drafted in one of those 7 rounds. He will be an NFL player. That is the dream. Maybe he sits behind somebody. Maybe he gets not necessarily lucky, but falls into the starting order due to somebody's injury, and then shines. So you never know. But yeah, doesn't look good for him. But good, congrats to him on a good career at Texas. He's going to go to the draft. Good for him. And then his coach, Steve Sarkisian, he got an extension, which that was very interesting. Sarkisian getting the extension. People were talking about him possibly going to Dallas to coach or somewhere in the NFL or somewhere else. And then he doubled down. He said he wanted to be at Texas. He said that he wanted to be at Texas, and then obviously they gave him the extension, which is good. Good for Sark. I'd say good for Texas. He hasn't done bad as a coach there. He's led them to the Final Four. They lost to Ohio State, which isn't a bad team to lose to because they obviously were the best team this year. They won the Natty. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's not undeserved. I would not say it's undeserved. Excuse me, sorry. That would be, yeah. I would say Sark deserved it. He's probably the best coach Texas could get right now and could have. Just, why not? Ride it out. Pay him. He had no better option, really. Rob Ryan went to USC. I don't know what USC is doing over there. That's good for Rob Ryan. They also extended DeAnton Lynn, which is good for them. They have great minds there. Lincoln Riley, obviously. DeAnton Lynn getting the extension, and then Rob Ryan coming in. So hopefully they can get the talent. They're USC, so they should be able to recruit talent. They're also in the Big Ten, which is obviously the top school or top conference. So you would assume that USC could get some talent in there, hopefully, and turn something around. If you're a USC fan, obviously, if you're another Big Ten school, you don't want them to do anything like that. But yeah, they should definitely be able to do so. And with Lincoln Riley's offensive skill, Rob Ryan and I believe Rob Ryan's a DC, if I'm not, or not, he's a defensive-minded individual because Rex is, so unless they're opposites. But Rob Ryan, DeAnton Lynn, Lincoln Riley, those are great football minds. So you get the talent in there, you should be able to perform something. And obviously with the whole NIL being regulated and there's salary cap style now, you would hope that they have more of a fair playing shot at getting people. So I forget who they went with that quarterback for next season. I know Miller Moss left, so I don't know if they're going to ride out with the guy that they finished the year with. Forgive me, I can't remember his name, or if they're going to get a new one, but who knows? We'll see next year, obviously. Cade McNamara, the quarterback, he entered the transfer portal. He went to I can't remember what school he went to, but he went from, I forget where he was. I think he wasn't Notre Dame. No, that was Sam Hartman. Who was that? Cade McNamara was somewhere, and then got massively recruited to Iowa and then did terrible at Iowa. Now he's at some like no-name, low-level school. So that sucks for him. I don't know why he fell off or how he fell off so hard. Hopefully he gets back on track, and then I think he has another year of eligibility after that. And maybe he can, I don't know. Hopefully for Cade McNamara's sake, he comes on. Because he was like highly touted, looked at as like a very great or good quarterback, possible high-level QB, and now he's on like, it's not even an FBS school, I don't think, if I'm not mistaken. So that sucks for him. Marshall, this poor team, they lost dang near their entire team. They almost lost they lost most of their team in the transfer portal, so they had to pull out of a bowl. And then the Sun Belt fined them, or whatever conference they're in. Their conference fines them $100,000 for missing the bowl or pulling out of the bowl. What do you want them to do? You want them to play with, like, I'd fine them for playing with. You're going to put out terrible film, terrible, like, performance because you have nobody on your team that was a starter at all throughout the year. But then now you want to, like, what do you want them to do? Like, why would you fine them $100,000? $100,000 is a lot for a small school like Marshall. Like, that's a quarterback. That's a star player. That's a wide receiver. That's like, oh man. That's like a star corner, star D end, like star linebacker. That's somebody important that could have been on that team. Now you're hurting them more because now they can't use that money. I mean, I don't know how the whole NIL works, right? Nobody does. It's a mystery. But yeah, it's like now they can't use that $100K. I don't know if they would have been allowed to. Like, I don't know how that works if the fines come out of a different pocket. But yeah, like, what do you want Marshall to do? Like, what do you want them to do about that? And then the whole transfer portal system and like NIL is insane because like there was like the Wisconsin kid, Xavier Lucas. He unenrolls in his school and then goes and enrolls. It was Wisconsin he unenrolled in, and then he went to go enroll in Miami. Like straight up, like as a student, unenrolled, left, moved. We're talking Wisconsin to Miami. It's not like that was next door. Like something happened there to where like I don't know if that's like, and the NCAA investigated it. They said no rules were broken. So, I mean, by all means, do what you want. But that is such a weird situation, especially like given he could have just entered the portal and then gone there. Or like something different. I don't know how that worked, but I mean, he wanted to go to Miami, I guess. I think he's like a cornerback. Maybe he wants to get practice picking off Carson Beck. I don't know. Yeah, that was weird. And then there's the kid from UNLV that left because he was promised NIL money, but then didn't get it. The Sluka kid. He went to James Madison. I don't know if he doesn't know this, but James Madison is not richer than University of Nevada, Las Vegas. One of those is in a huge city. And yet again, they're like not the biggest school. They're probably a little bit richer than James Madison. I mean, maybe James Madison, I'm sure, has probably actually some higher level graduates. Nothing against UNLV, but James Madison probably has like some intelligent graduates that made it far in life and then are willing to put in like their funds to fund the football team. So maybe he gets the money he finally wanted. But Jesus, man, like hopefully he gets the money, or actually hopefully he doesn't get the money he wanted because the way he did UNLV was dirty. It's ridiculous. Breaking news. Minnesota is hiring veteran defensive coordinator Kevin Kane in an on-field coaching role. Kane has been the defensive coordinator at NIU, SMU, and Purdue. He'll bring more experience to Minnesota's defensive staff. Kane also worked in the Big Ten. So that must be Minnesota University, coming from Pete Thamel. Good for them. I don't know much about that Kane guy, but sounds like he has a lot of experience. So hopefully that goes well for Minnesota. But yeah, that's some breaking news that literally just hit my phone. Cool for them. Interesting. Minnesota just got a decent. Minnesota, man, what a hard-fought battle. They got to fight through all those Big Ten schools. I feel so bad for like the lower level Big Ten schools, even more so now, Because, like, now the Big Ten's on top, and then now you're going to be, like, they might get, like, kicked out of the conference. Like, Minnesota, Maryland, Iowa. Well, Iowa probably won't, but I don't know. Some of these schools might start getting kicked out, which is crazy. And then, like, college, man, like, because you had Kyron Lacey. This, like, I got to talk about this. Because apparently, so what I had heard now is Kyron Lacey apparently was just speeding, and then his speeding, he, like, went through, like, an intersection or something of the sort, made, like, a turn, and he made it so fast that two people, well, like, one person swerved on one side of the road, and then that person swerved into somebody, and then it caused the person to die. But if like that, I think that is definitely reckless driving, and that should be punished. He should be punished for what he did. But I think they went a little too hard on the punishment, because if he didn't, I don't necessarily know if you consider that him causing the wreck, and if you do, I guess that's fine. But also, that's not a hit and run. He didn't hit anybody. Is what it sounds like. But I mean, he's out now, so that's fine. I think he will still definitely get drafted. This probably hurt his draft stock a little bit. He was probably a first rounder, maybe now a second, maybe even a third. But he probably went from day 1 to day 2 for sure. But he's still super uber talented to the point where he's not going to fall out of draft eligible, or like not eligibility necessarily, but he's not going to fall out of the draft. He's going to definitely get drafted. He's like one of the top 5-10 wide receivers in the draft. All those guys are going to go. Now he's just going to go later on. So somebody's really going to get a steal, especially if they could just shape him up and be like, hey, what are you doing? Like, have you not seen Rashee Rice, Henry Ruggs go on about, like, bad car instances? Jordan Addison, like, don't drive crazy. Don't drive crazy. That's like, I mean, it is what it is. He did his thing. He made a mistake. He's a young kid with, like, probably at least $1 million. Like, I mean, you know, you give these 18, 19, 20-year-old dudes millions of dollars, they might make mistakes. There's a good chance. Hopefully he learns from it, and then hopefully he gets drafted and he becomes a great asset for a great team and becomes a better man from this situation. Rest in peace to the guy who did die, though. That sucks. He obviously did not mean to do that. So it's an accidental situation. That's what car accidents, like he didn't run into the dude on purpose or anything. So that would be obviously more of an offense. Yeah. Hopefully he doesn't go to the Steelers, though, because me as a Steelers fan, I'm sick of drafting these problematic diva wide receivers. Antonio Brown was fine because Antonio Brown was elite level. He was Hall of Fame level wide receiver. But before that, we had Hines Ward. We had Antoine Randall L. We had, like, even Mike Wallace was a problem wide receiver. And then even Juju Smith-Schuster was a problem wide receiver. And then George Pickens now is fighting people. And there's all these people that's like, yeah, you could be talented and you could be a little bit of a diva, but, like, you gotta cool it. Like, you gotta, like, focus on the damn game. But it's like, I don't know. Yeah, Kyron Lacey seems right in that tier, and then we'd love to draft him, of course. We'd probably get him second round, just like I said. But oh man. But anyway, speaking of the NFL, we'll transfer over to that because there was four amazing games this last weekend, and we got to break those down. And then there's two that'll come up this following Sunday, Championship Sunday, Conference Championships, and we're going to have to give our predictions and break down what we think is going to happen there as well. But we'll go in chronological order. So we started off Saturday with the Chiefs-Texans, which has everybody talking about how much the refs love the Chiefs. Look, I'd love to be that guy, and I'd love to say that. But I don't think we can. Like, there's been far more possible egregious offenses in this situation where we could have brought up, but, like, people are making such an issue about it. And then you got Joe Mixon. Sorry, I'm gonna put the dog down. But you got Joe Mixon and Will Anderson, stars of the Texans, right, are higher level players in the Texans organization. And they're coming out here, yeah, we knew it was going to be us against the refs. Why even go out and play the game if we know that the calls are going to go the Chiefs' way? The penalties were dang near even. Like yards to like, it wasn't even like that crazy. Like, right, you let the Chiefs sack you like 8, 9 times. You let Chris Jones run wild on CJ Stroud. And you expect to win that game? Like, what are we doing here? We're talking, what is, like, yeah. Oh, and then they had, like, even the penalties they did have were costly. Like, it's like, if you, like, you can't hit anybody, any quarterback the way Will Anderson hit them, that's going to get called. Any quarterback. If they were playing the Bills, if they were playing the Ravens, he hit Lamar, he hit Josh Allen the same way. Guess what? That's going to be called as roughing the passer. You heard the helmet hit. You heard it. Like, look, I don't want the Chiefs three-peat any more, any less than anybody else does. I don't care at this point really who. Well, I mean, I would like to see the Commanders win, but still, it's like you have so many like the quarterback cannot get hit like that, and you come in and you hit him hard. You hear the helmet hit even. Like, well, like, it's a graze, but you're still going to hear it. And you're cracking them, you're going to get called. And that's not a game-changing play. That didn't change the game. You still could have recovered from that. That was the first quarter. And then there was the one where Mahomes baited them into it, and the Texans fell for it. They even hit themselves. And you got to think the way the two Texans players hit themselves head on head and hit hard. Like, if Mahomes doesn't slide, you guys are cracking him. And plus, like, if you think that you're going to get it, just hit him anyway. Like, hit him hard. Like, if you really think that, like, and it's like, if you're going to get the penalty, right, why even play the game? No, if you're going to get the penalty, you might as well just sell it. You might as well just full send it, if that's what you really think. But that's the thing. They don't really think that. They went out there and they played the game like they should have played the game. They just didn't play well enough. Anybody who, like, the Texans are not as good as the Chiefs. I don't like to be that guy. They're not. That's why they lost the game. They didn't lose the game because of penalties. This Texans team last year, like, did the same thing in the playoffs. They made it, past the first round, lost in the divisional. Like, they're not as good as the Chiefs at football. That's why they lost the game. It was not the refs. Like, Mahomes knows how to play the game, like, on a mental level to where, like, every team does it. Every team calls for, like, like, where's my flag? Where's my flag? All the wide receivers, all the quarterbacks, like, oh, I was touched. Where's my flag? Oh, I was pulled on. Where's my flag? Oh, every cornerback. Oh, where's my offensive pass interference? Oh, where's my holding? Where's, like, linemen are doing it. Where's my where's my illegal hands to the face? Everybody calls for flags. Mahomes just does it better. He's a quarterback. He knows what he's going to do. Like, he brought you in. You guys went to sandwich him, and he just dives. He just slides down. Yeah, get played. Be better. CJ Stroud could have done the same thing. He didn't. Like, so what? Like, and then, you had Mahomes out here making these. Dude was jumping forward, falling down, throws a dime to Travis Kelce. They are legendary in the playoffs. They are legendary. Then you let Kareem Hunt run all over you. I mean, he only had like 8 rushes for 44 yards, but that was all they needed. Plus, the Chiefs only had like 50 rushing yards in general. So, like, Kareem Hunt ran, boom, pounded him right through the O-line. He had 8 times, and that's like 5.5 yards a clip. What do you let that happen? You let that happen, and then your defensive line let the running back through. Your offensive line let Chris Jones through, and then you're letting Mahomes make like Nike ad-worthy plays. What are you doing? You think you're going to win the game like that? You're not. You will not win the game like that. It's in Kansas City. You're the worst team, or you're the lesser of the two teams. You flopped. Get over it. Like, these Texans fans are so mad. Like, oh, the refs did this, the refs did that. Even other teams are like, but they just don't want to see the Chiefs three-peat, which, look, I don't either. Because, I just don't want to see the Chiefs three-peat. I mean, yeah, it'd be historical and it'd be cool to experience. Like, yeah, that's the only thing we would get out of it. But I'm the kind of guy who likes to see underdogs win. So, but yeah, that's how that game went. Chiefs just dominated them overall. And it didn't show like that in the score, but that's what they've been doing all year. They've been winning close games where they were dominating. But yeah, and then later that night was that game was followed by the Commanders versus the Lions, and boy, did the Commanders shock the world. They didn't shock me, but they shocked the world. I told y'all, watch out for the Commanders this weekend. They're going to be the upset of the weekend. And, I mean, technically the Bills were an upset against the Ravens, but that was more of a 50-50 game than really like an upset either way. Betting-wise, though, it was an upset. The Ravens were favorited, and then the Bills won. But we'll get to that game in a minute. But, yeah, the Commanders came in. Jaden Daniels is playing his way into, like, top 3, top 4, top 5 quarterback level conversations. Me, personally, I'm putting him in top 4 right now. After this weekend, he's going up there. He's got Burrow, Mahomes, and Allen are above Jaden Daniels. Nobody else right now. That is what we are seeing. That is what we're seeing. Like, straight up. I hate to tell you that, and I hate to be the one to tell you. If you don't like that, go watch the games. Go watch the film. Go watch the tape. Jaden Daniels is playing lights out. Jaden Daniels is playing like nobody else. And everybody's like, oh, well, yeah, the quarterbacks, they need an offensive coach. I mean, yeah, he's a good offensive coordinator. But that offensive coordinator, this head coach, like he's got failed head coaches. It's his whole coaching staff. Rejects. He's got the Cowboys. Well, the Cowboys actually did want Dan Quinn back. Never mind. But the Falcons rejected Dan Quinn, fired him a few years back. Then he went to the Cowboys, built his way back up. Cliff Kingsbury was rejected as a head coach on the Cardinals, right? All this. Like, this team wasn't supposed to do this. This team was supposed to finish like third, maybe fourth in the NFC East. They are first. Or they're first or second in the whole NFC right now. They are playing lights out, and it's mostly due to Jaden, but the defense is playing well as well. Everybody's like, oh, well, this defense is kind of not that great. Well, the defense just held the Lions pretty well. I mean, I think Jahmyr Gibbs got 2 touchdowns, but they weren't too crazy. But, yeah, they got 4 picks off of Goff. Bad news for them. 3 picks off of Goff, 1 pick off of Jameson Williams. What the hell was Jameson Williams doing in this game? Jameson Williams, he threw an interception. He's out here doing whatever to the end zone. He's out here. He's humping the end zone during the celebration. And then it's funny, my good friend Jacob, he thinks that it's so funny that Amon-Ra immediately ran over to Jameson Williams and was like, no, like we can't have this. Because that Jameson Williams humping the end zone celebration goes on for another 5-10 seconds, they're gone. Like that touchdown's gone. And it's like that was an amazing touchdown. And that's the thing. They were getting they were getting lucky on these touchdowns. Not necessarily lucky, but like the Commanders, they gave Detroit a shot. And Detroit didn't take it. The Commanders won fair and square. The Commanders played great in that game. So great. Jaden Daniels, great. McLaurin, great. Brian Robinson, great. Like, they played great in that game, and they earned their spot in the NFC Championship. Fair and square. Like, man. But, yeah, the 2 sacks to 0 sacks for the defense for the Commanders as well. Like, come on. Like, and then everybody also wanted to talk about after speaking of the interceptions. Goff throws one of the interceptions, and then he gets blocked hard on one of the returns of the interceptions. And everybody's like, oh, well, Jared Goff took a cheap shot. Jared Goff had to go to concussion protocol. If you throw an interception, guess what you just did? You just made yourself a defender. And guess what happens to defenders? They get blocked. You got blocked. Take it. Take it like a man. Jared Goff didn't complain, so don't get me wrong. Jared Goff took it on the chin, went to the concussion tent, came out, he was like, I'm good, kept playing, right? Teddy Bridgewater didn't do too bad, right, when he came in. It is what it is, right? But Jared Goff's not complaining, so don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining about Jared Goff or saying Jared Goff did wrong, but sports media is like, oh, Jared Goff took a cheap shot. You don't want to take that shot, don't throw an interception. You took a real shot. That's what it is. You took a non-QB related shot. Because you weren't a QB at that point. You threw a pick. You were trying to make a tackle. What is the dude supposed to do? Let you fly past and let him and tackle the guy and save him from the touchdown? Sandstro, right? I believe. No, that's not happening. It's just ridiculous. But then so So the next day, there was 2 more great games. The Eagles and the Rams started off that day. It was Sunday, and that was a snow game, back and forth battle. Great game. I didn't get to catch the game. I was off. I was actually snowboarding, but I did get to watch the highlights and stuff, and I got to see, of course, all the reports. And man, Saquon took over that game. Because the Rams fought a great fight. The Rams will be here next year. If Stafford comes back, or if they find a quarterback that can replace Stafford or do like something to the level of Stafford, because obviously Stafford's a higher tier quarterback, but he's still debating on retiring or not. But if Stafford does come back, then Stafford and the Rams will be here again next year. They'll win that division. They're a better team. If Kupp and Stafford come back and they find somebody to help Kyron Williams, right? I don't know. Nakua's there. That young defense is there. Oh man, they lost Aaron Donald. Everybody thought it was over for that defense. That defense is right there. I mean, they couldn't stop Saquon, but even if Aaron Donald was on that defense, they are not stopping Saquon from those 80 or 78 and 62-yard, whatever, touchdowns. Like, that man was running for his life. Saquon ran so far, so fast in the snow. He took over the game, like I said, which was fair because Jalen Hurts was injured. So Saquon kind of needed to take over the game, but that's how the Eagles roll right now. The Eagles, if they need Saquon shows up. And then if they need Jalen shows up. Jalen was a little stiff that game, a little injured. So that's the thing. Why does it matter if you're injured when you get to go throw the ball? When you don't have to throw the ball and you can hand it off to such a great running back like that, and that's a great thing. So yeah, Saquon, man, the Commanders have a tough task on their hand to stop Saquon. But yeah, the Rams, they did play very well, and if Stafford and the rest of the team comes back, they will be there next year as well. And then the Bills-Ravens game capped off that night. They capped off Sunday night with the Bills and the Ravens. That game was so messy for the Ravens. It's not even funny. Lamar Jackson, I don't care what anybody says, is far more to blame for that loss than Mark Andrews. Lamar Jackson fumbled the ball on a ridiculous play that he should not have fumbled. Lamar Jackson threw an interception right to the Bills. It was so stupid. That was such a bad interception. And then Lamar Jackson threw the ball to Mark Andrews that led to Mark Andrews fumbling. That one was on Mark Andrews. But then also Lamar Jackson kind of missed through the ball to Mark Andrews, although it was in Mark Andrews' hand, the one to get the game-tying 2-point conversion or possible game-tying 2-point conversion. He did throw that to Mark a little off, and then I'm assuming that's why Mark didn't catch it. Mark did have his hands on it, so really he should have came down with it. But even you say Mark comes down with that ball, they still have a minute, like 33 seconds on the clock for Buffalo and Josh Allen to march down the field with 2 timeouts and just get a field goal. Waste the time, get a field goal, or even score a touchdown, which I don't know if you've been watching the Bills and Josh Allen play this year. I have 100% full faith that they would have gone down with a minute and a half and 2 timeouts and gotten at least a field goal. That team, and it's not like the Ravens were really stopping them all crazy that game, so you have no reason to not. I mean, yeah, and we don't know. We'll never know because Mark Andrews dropped the ball, but that's not his fault. That's not – I mean, well, it is his fault. The drop is half his fault, half Lamar's. The throw was bad. The throw was bad. The catch should have been made, but either way, if he makes that catch, good chance the Bills still win that game. Even if the Bills don't score and you tie, you still have to go win in overtime. If you're the Ravens, you're getting a 50-50 coin toss. You don't even know if you're going to get the ball. And then you have to either stop, and then at some point you're going to have to stop them again because in the playoff overtime rules now both teams get the chance at the ball. So you would have had to stop Buffalo twice, which Baltimore was not going to do. Baltimore was not stopping Buffalo twice. So Mark Andrews dropping that ball isn't as game-changing as Lamar fumbling the ball ridiculously at that point and then letting Von Miller pick it up. We're talking like 40-year-old Von Miller pick that up. And if it's not for Justice Hill, that's a touchdown. The dude was gone. Like, Lamar's not catching him. Lamar's supposed to be so fast you can't even catch a 40-year-old linebacker. I don't care. Like, Justice Hill saved you. Justice Hill saved that game. Like, they got saved over and over. And then that was one of the worst interceptions. That interception was worse than – that was almost as bad as the Jameis Williams interception. He just threw it right to Buffalo. He was like, boom, right to Taylor Rapp. And everybody was like, oh. And the people were like, I'm so sick of everybody trying to defend Lamar. Everybody was like, well, that was Rashad Bateman. Rashad Bateman kind of like didn't run the route right. But then even Lamar was like, no, I overthrew that ball. That is not a Rashad. And then Lamar wants to come out and he's like, I'm sick of this. Like, we need to stop, like, messing up these games. You need to stop messing up these games, Lamar. You do. Yeah, you came back and you had that really cool play to score the touchdown and then save it, but then you messed up the throw on the 2-point conversion, which led to your guy, Mark Andrews, getting blamed for that. Like, also, then coaching, too. Like, why are they not running it so much? I mean, they ran like a fair share of Justice Hill and Derrick Henry, which I like. Save the miles on Derrick Henry. That's cool, especially if they're talking about extending him in the offseason. But yeah, Justice Hill was also running well. So was Derrick Henry. But use them both more. And then also run, like they ran all over the Steelers. The Steelers had just as good, if not a better run defense than the Bills. And then the Bills weren't really stopping them. Derrick Henry had like 5.5 yards a clip. And then Justice Hill was probably somewhere close. And then I don't even know what Lamar had, but he wasn't running sloppily on him. I mean, but it's like, yeah, and then you trust Lamar to throw it, and then what happens? He gets a sacked fumble that almost gets a touchdown. He throws a bad interception. He throws a bad pass. He throws a pass behind. The pass that Mark Andrews fumbled was behind Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews wasn't really fully able to grab it. And plus, it's snowing. Run the ball. What are you doing? They did the same thing last year. They fumbled. They were like, well, they didn't fumble specifically as they did in this game, literally twice. Well, technically 3 times if you want to count the dropped catch as a fumble. But, yeah, they literally got to the conference championship last year, right, and did the same thing. They went completely away from the run game when it wasn't necessary. They had a great run game going. Oh, my gosh. And then the coaching and Lamar need to, like, look in the mirror and be like, okay, where can I fix myself? Or not even look in the mirror. Look at the tape and be like, okay, maybe I don't drop the ball here and give Buffalo a 45-yard, however long, fumble recovery, not touchdown, but fumble recovery that would lead to points. Like, Lamar's like, oh, yeah, I'm sick of this. Excuse my language, but I'm sick of this shit. Like, it's your fault. It's your fault. You better be sick of yourself. Like, and then the Bills, like, everybody's like, oh, that game was really close. The Bills just did what the Bills needed to do. I don't even know if they were playing full force. They just, like, Josh Allen wasn't even playing Superman. He was just playing right on par, like good. He wasn't playing bad. He wasn't playing great. He was just playing good. He was playing right there, right where he needed to play. James Cook was going off. James Cook was running well. Like, he wasn't running too great. He wasn't running bad, but he was running good. Like, the Bills played exactly how the Bills needed to play. Mistakes happened, like Baltimore would do. Baltimore is prone to mistakes. They made them. Buffalo capitalized off of them, and that's all they needed to do. And they literally did the bare minimum of what they needed to do to beat that team, which is good for them because now they have a lot of energy and like effort and like emotion saved for the Chiefs next week because they're going to need it. And yeah, so that's the thing. And then so that conference championship game, right? You have the Bills at the Chiefs. It's going to be in Arrowhead. That's going to be tough for Buffalo. The Bills are going to have to do a little bit more than just the bare minimum this time because the Chiefs aren't the Ravens. They're not going to make these mistakes. Patrick Mahomes is not going to make those mistakes. He's not going to fumble the same. I mean, he might. We don't know. But great chances are, you're battling with Travis Kelce instead of Mark Andrews. You're battling with Lamar. You're battling with Patrick Mahomes instead of Lamar Jackson. You're battling with DeAndre Hopkins and Hollywood Brown instead of Nose Flowers and Rashad Bateman. You're battling with you're battling with Chris Jones instead of whoever's on the Ravens. Like this is the Chiefs. You're also battling with Andy Reid, not John Harbaugh. Like you're taking on a real team. Well, not necessarily that Raven. The Ravens are good. They just need to figure it out and stop making mistakes. The Chiefs, though, versus the Bills, it's going to be whoever makes the most mistakes or whoever makes the mistake first is going to lose that game. I I have it really 50-50. I can't tell you. I mean, obviously, I'm going to make a prediction, but I'm not fully certain on my prediction. I have the Bills winning. I think Josh finally gets his playoff win over the Chiefs. The Bills just seem so much more firepower filled this year because, yet again, they have the talent as well. They have Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman, Matt Collins is playing well. They have Khalil Shakir. They have James Cook. They have Ray Davis. They have Josh Allen. They have the D-line, Epinesa. They are balling. They are playing really well right now. But so are the Chiefs. So this game is going to be, of course, fireworks show, lights out. Every time the Bills and Chiefs play, it's fireworks shows and lights out. So you guys are going to have to tune into that game. Even if you're not a football fan, that's going to be a great game. That's how good that game is going to be. But, I just hope it's close. I hope it's, really cool. We had that amazing, one of the best games of all time. We had it a couple years ago now, where it was they were going down the field the last couple minutes and kept trading touchdowns. Then it went to overtime. And it's a game that changed the overtime rules for the playoffs because the Chiefs got the toss and they went down and scored and then won the game. And that didn't give Buffalo a chance, which clearly they probably would have scored since it was back and forth the whole time. But, yeah, so that game, I'm telling you, first one to make the mistake or the most mistakes is going to lose that game. It's going to be lights out. Josh will need to take over. Pat does what Pat does, right? That team is more situationally sound. Josh is going to have to exceed, right? Not that Josh is necessarily not as good as Pat or so far away, but the Chiefs team does this. They're 15-1 and then 1-0 in the playoffs for a reason. They do this every week in, week out. They win. They're one losses to the Bills, which is why I am picking the Bills, even though it is an Arrowhead. But that's the thing. Arrowhead, frigidness, loudness, the Bills aren't afraid of that. Plus, Bills Mafia is going to travel. You think the Bills Mafia isn't going to travel to this Chiefs game? Bills Mafia is going to be there. So it's going to be loud. So, and then one of the main keys, I think the main key, other than the mistakes for this game, is going to be whether or not that Bills O-line, which I think the Bills O-line is really underrated, really good, they're going to need to stop Chris Jones, though. Because Chris Jones cannot be barreling through that middle like how he did before, how he did in this Texans game. Because obviously, 8 sacks, it wasn't just Chris Jones, right? It's Hugh, all these other people. But Chris Jones is the main guy. You stop Chris Jones, right? And then the other people, you deal with that. You can live with that, right? You stop Chris Jones. Josh Allen plays above expected, and then you just don't make penalties and make mistakes because the Texans can blame the penalties, the refs, all they want. They made the mistakes that led to those penalties. Whether or not they were bad calls or good calls, you can't do those. I don't care. Don't even risk it. Don't run the risk. If you think that there's a chance that the refs are going to be 50-50 or 75-25, wherever, right? Obviously, hit them lower. Hit the quarterback lower. Don't even hit them anywhere around the neck. You obviously can control your body trajectory. You're professional athletes. You are great at controlling your body. Make a better move. Make a better tackle. Also, if you know Pat Mahomes is backed into a corner and he's already past the line of scrimmage, what is he going to do? Throw it away? He can't. Just let him slide. Don't. But yeah, so the Bills are going to make that game's going to be good. I think the Bills make little enough mistakes because they didn't make any mistakes in that Ravens game either. They didn't really make any mistakes in that Broncos game either. So I think the Bills make a minute amount enough of mistakes to play well enough to get this win. And they will finally surpass Sean McDermott, Josh Allen, whoever's been on this team. They will finally surpass the Chiefs in the ability. And if they don't win, who cares? The Chiefs. And then everybody wants to say, oh, well, the NFL wants the Chiefs to win because of the what do you call it? Because of Taylor Swift and Caitlin Clark, all these celebrities go there. No, all the celebrities go there just Taylor Swift is dating Kelsey. They were winning before Taylor Swift was dating Kelsey. I don't understand what you guys don't know about this. They were winning beforehand. They were this good beforehand. And then Taylor Swift starts dating Kelsey. Oh, Kelsey's happy? Oh, he's playing a little better? At the beginning of the year, everybody was like, oh, well, now Taylor's there and he's making Kelsey suck. Like, make up your mind. Is she good for the team? Is she bad for the team? Is she good for the sport? Is she bad for the sport? She's good for the sport. She's raising the numbers. I don't care. I'm not a big Taylor Swift. I mean, not new Taylor Swift. I like a lot of old Taylor Swift. Let's be real. Come on. Everybody likes You Belong With Me. But not the point. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about football right now. But, yeah, so – and, yeah, she's bringing people like Caitlin Clark, right, these other celebrities to the team. She's friends with Brittany Mahomes. Like, yeah, whatever. She's a celeb. How many other celebrities are going to games? You think and like also like it was Nick Wright on Colin Cowherd's show. He went on the Herd on Fox Sports Today, and Nick Wright said that the league is, well, he said 32 owners, but really it's like 31. Well, the 31 owners and then the ownership group that owns the Packers. But really, like, so you got, well, now it's kind of like now it's even more spread out because you have all these small parts of teams getting owned, like Tom Brady owning part of the Raiders. You have all these owners and all these teams that are being ran by these people. You think Jerry Jones is letting the Cowboys miss the playoffs every year and get, like, they could easily just slide the Cowboys into 7 seed, 6 seed, right? More relevancy, even with the injury, right? Or to Dak, which, if you ask me, is probably better for the team because they realize how bad Dak is. But they're not going to not pay him or get rid of him because they can't now. But like, right, like, you're not going to, like, there's, like, because obviously if it's money controlled, right, or if it's whatever controlled, the Hunt family isn't the richest one. I hate to tell you. But they got the best team as of right now until somebody, like, it's innocent until proven guilty situation, right? And, like, the way Nick Wright said it is he was like, you think all 31 other owners are just like, oh, I guess we're rigging it for the Chiefs again this year? That's not happening. Like, that's crazy talk necessarily. Roger Goodell wouldn't even let that happen because Roger Goodell is actually a pretty good commissioner. You look at all these other sports commissioners, Roger Goodell's been a better commissioner than the MLB commissioner. I don't remember his name. He's been a better commissioner than Adam Silver. Nothing against Adam Silver. Adam Silver's good. Obviously, he was better than the guy before Adam Silver. We won't say his name. You know, bad juju, bad aura surrounding the prior commissioner. But, right, and that's the thing. Roger Goodell's so good. Who was the commissioner before Roger Goodell? Who knows? This dude is shot like this. NFL is like worldwide. It's almost probably bigger than soccer now. Like, you're talking about the Champions League Cup or final versus like the Super Bowl. Who's watching more? Like, those are, like, we're talking like global numbers this dude does. And you got people watching in illegal streams. Not that I did. Don't worry about that. But if you got people watching on like illegal streaming sources, which probably don't even give the NFL the more numbers, but the NFL is getting those numbers as well. Like, the NFL gets crazy numbers. Like, people go to bars to watch games, right? Like, the NFL is booming, right? So, but that's besides the point. They're not rigged for the Chiefs. As much as I'd love to say that, and I'd love to have some excuse, people just need an excuse. Like, the Chiefs are just good. Patrick Mahomes hones his craft. He's good. Travis Kelce is like a top 3 tight end, maybe 3-5 tight end of all time. That's rare. That's hard to find. They've had a really good O-line. Their O-line is a little banged up right now, though, which is another part of why I did pick the Bills. Like, I get the slight edge of the Bills. But they got Chris Jones. Chris Jones was being argued with Aaron Donald that everybody hated on because he was great. People just hate the greatness. I love to do that, right? I didn't like the Patriots dynasty when it was happening, mostly because I was a Steelers fan. I didn't like the Steelers just ended like a good like Super Bowl era where we were in 45, 43, and 40. Like, right, we were on the top, and then we kind of fell off, and then, right, we haven't really made it back since, which is fine, right? I have to suffer through that as a fan. Some other teams do as well. I just know what it feels like now. And now the Patriots, they had to suffer through that the last 2 years with the Bill Belichick firing year, then the Gerard Mayo failure year. And then now they're back on, like, they got 2 good rookie quarterbacks, whichever one they go with. Now they got Vrabel, and then they got even Josh McDaniels, which we'll talk about later when we bring up the coaches. But, yeah, I think the Bills get the slight edge in that game. NFL is not rigged for the Chiefs, and we'll see what happens. It's going to be lights out. You're going to have to watch that. Even if, like I said, even if you're not a football fan, you're going to have to watch that. But and then the NFC Championship game, on the other hand, on the other side of the conference, just like I told y'all, is the NFC East matchup. It is the Commanders and it is the Eagles. And I'm not saying I told y'all this since the beginning of the year, right? No, I'm not crazy. I told y'all this when it was divisional round. I said the Eagles are going to beat the Rams because they're just too good. and the Commanders were going to beat the Lions because I said they were going to shock the world, and they did. And but this isn't me here to tell you I told you so. But also, this game is so American, right? Because it's the capital city, Washington, D.C., versus the capital bird, the Eagles. But it's going to be lights out. There's so much talent in this game. There's so much talent. Like, we're talking like Heisman winners. We're talking like we're talking dogs in this game. We're talking loaded with talent. We're talking one of the best O-lines, some of the best D-linemen. We got Marshawn Lattimore in this game. We got two of the best rookie cornerbacks to ever play. We got the best rookie quarterback to ever play. You've got Jalen Hurts, and then you've got coaches that are hungry for it. You've got teams that are so talented. This is going to be a great game as well. But and they played twice this year, right? Already, the Eagles won in Week 11 in Philly, 26-18, and the Commanders won 36-33, Week 16 in DC, which is the more recent. That was a really close game. They won in the last drive. They went down and they scored. So it's 1-1. This will be the tiebreaker. This will be for all the marbles, of course. Also because it's a trip to the Super Bowl more so. They don't really care about the tiebreaker as much as they care about making that Super Bowl. I promise you that. But I think the only issue Washington can run into is if they can't stop Saquon. Which, I mean, they've kind of struggled against Gibbs. Gibbs and Saquon are pretty similar in like the fact that they can kind of be power, kind of be finesse. Like they can run, they can one-cut you on the outside. They can run right through you. Well, and they also have David Montgomery, right? So, like, yeah, you have David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. They kind of struggle with that, not too much. But Saquon is obviously a different monster, best running back of the season. I think they can stop Saquon enough, though, to where Jaden Daniels has a great enough game. Like they did. I think it'll be very similar to the Week 16 game. Even though it's in Philly, I think Washington edges them out. Very close game, very hard fought, very back and forth. I think Washington will win by like 2 or 3. I think the line, I'll check the betting line right now. But I think it's actually 6-point favorite for the Eagles. Oh man, I'm taking the Commanders all day. There's no way the Eagles win by either 2 field goals or a touchdown. There's no way. I'm taking Commanders all day on that point spread. But I'm also taking Commanders money line. So of course I'm going to say that. But the Commanders money line, was not getting to betting. The point being, just straight up game talk. I think Jaden is better than Jalen, of course. And then Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury are really great coaches versus Nick Sirianni doesn't really call plays, right? So it's Kellen Moore and Fangio. Those are all getting head coaching opportunities. Well, Dan Quinn is the head coach, right? But he's also the defensive play caller, I would assume. I don't know who their DC is, but right, he's not getting head coaching opportunities, so you would assume he's probably not even their play caller. But you have Cliff Kingsbury and Dan Quinn, really great defensive minds versus Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio. I think offense, I'm heavily leaning Washington. You got to say Cliff Kingsbury is a far greater offensive mind than Kellen Moore. Not that Kellen Moore is bad. Kellen Moore may end up the coach of the Cowboys. But Cliff Kingsbury is way more intelligent offensive-wise, scheme-wise as well. Dan Quinn, really great defense. He had the Cowboys rolling last year, got him a head coaching job. Fangio, he's also really great at defense. Their defenses are also I would give Fangio the edge only because it's like his defense is more talented. But if they're on the same level playing field, if they're coaching the same defense, I give Dan Quinn the edge, which is why I slightly give the Commanders the edge because they have the coaching edge, they have the quarterback edge. Running back wise, they do have great running backs, right? But like Saquon is better. Skill position wise, I'm taking honestly the way the Eagles been playing lately. I'm taking T-Mac and Zacchaeus and Zach Ertz over this, especially Zach Ertz revenge game on the Eagles, the team that casted him out after he did so well for them for years. Oh man, D-line though, oh man, they need to stop Jalen Carter too. Jalen Carter wrecked some of that Rams game. He got to Matt Stafford too many times. But the thing is also Matt Stafford has far less escapability than Jaden Daniels. And he'll show that, of course, because Jalen Carter is going to get through that line, of course, and Jaden Daniels is going to have to run around. But, yeah, betting line at 6 is crazy. I call Commanders over in a very close game. I think I don't think they stop Saquon Barkley because there's no stopping Saquon Barkley. That's just not going to happen. I don't care how good your defense is. But I think they slow him down enough to let the magic of Jaden Daniels do its thing. But, yeah, so that's my prediction. I'm predicting Commanders and Bills Super Bowl, which would be great. Battle of the underdogs. Josh Allen finally gets his win. Jaden Daniels, rookie quarterback, wasn't expected to be here. Greatness. But we'll get into the coaching carousel now. We talked about it a little bit. We talked about how Kellen Moore might go to the Cowboys. We talked about how who was it that I talked about? Oh, Josh McDaniels did go to New England. So Josh McDaniels is in New England again for his third time to be the offensive coordinator. Head coaching didn't really work for him, but offensive coordinator has. And whether or not you want to call it Brady was great and that's why it went well, he's a pretty decent offensive mind, this Josh McDaniels. And him combined with Vrabel is really good for the Patriots. The Patriots, they were down a little bit. They came up. As well as in their division, Aaron Glenn today just got signed. The Jets brought him in for a second interview. They were like, we're not letting you leave the building without a deal. They did not. Aaron Glenn left, and he was the Jets head coach. Well, so he probably didn't even leave. He probably moved his stuff in. Yeah, great for Aaron Glenn. And then the other Lions coordinator, Ben Johnson, to the Bears. I believe yesterday that became official. Right after the games ended, a lot of people had speculations about that as well, like, they were distracted about their next head coaching opportunities. I don't think they were distracted by that. Like, they're still going to lock in. That's why they had the head coaching opportunities, is because they were locked in, right? And because they got so far. But, yeah, and they just did so well. That's why they got head coaching opportunities as well. But, yeah, good for them. So obviously I said I think Josh McDaniels will do well with the rookie quarterback situation. Hopefully they get more offensive talent for him out there in New England. Aaron Glenn on the Jets is good because Aaron Glenn was a former Jet. I love former players or former coaches being hired because they have they have the fandom in them as well. Like, they want to see the team do well, so they try to perform better, right? Like, you're going to think that they're going to perform better because they have the love for the team because of their prior history, right? And then you also have Ben Johnson to Chicago. I don't know if that's going to go so well. You can call me a hater if you want. Caleb Williams, one of the young offensive mind, as his head coach. Hopefully that goes well. But Ben Johnson in that division is the fourth best coach, head coach-wise. Because Dan Campbell, there's a reason he was the head coach, not Ben Johnson. Matt LaFleur is a good coach. He said he loved beating Matt LaFleur twice. That's why he wanted to stay in the NFC North. Well, good luck beating them with a team that Green Bay has owned for years, even though Chicago did get lucky and get the win this year. But that was a Week 18 game where the Packers weren't really caring. And then also Kevin O'Connell, who just got extended, crazy extension by the Vikings. Yeah, he's a better coach. But, yeah, Ben Johnson is good. He's very great at offense, so hopefully he does unlock some more potential out of Caleb because Caleb did have a kind of a down year. Probably was barely in the top 3 for rookie quarterbacks, so that sucks. Especially as you're getting drafted as like the number 1 overall pick, you don't want to be not number 1 out of all the quarterbacks or just not number 1 in general. But obviously, Jaden outshined him. I would say Drake made same level or not higher. And Bo Nix obviously outshined him. Penix, we didn't really get enough of a sample size to say that he outshined him or anything. So, yeah. But, yeah, so Kevin – and apparently they paid Ben Johnson like a lot of money, which, look, yeah, he did great in Detroit. But, I don't know. You can't just give a coach – he hasn't really proved head coach-wise, right? Like if you're trying to pay him a lot of money, I say sign him for 1 year, right, to like a regular deal and be like, hey, if you do really well, right, or like put in an incentive in this contract, like, hey, if you get us to the playoffs or if you get us above like a winning season, right, because whatever, like anything good for the Bears is success because right they've been trash for years. That's how they got Caleb Williams in the number 1 pick, right? So if I say like right, you give him like a lower level deal because he hasn't done anything as a head coach. Yeah, he was a great offensive coordinator, but how many great offensive coordinators didn't pan out as head coaches? We're even questioning Kyle Shanahan now, who's over there in San Francisco struggling with offense because, right? And then so it was him and Brock Purdy were up here last year. Now they're down here, right? They were actually in the Super Bowl. They were literally on the top. Now they were like almost bottom of their division, which was not a hard division to win. The 4th seed, or no. Yeah, the 4th seed won that division. Like the 4th seed NFC team won that division. So yeah, it wasn't a hard division to win. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I hope all these coaches do well, right? But I don't know if Ben Johnson will do well. Aaron Glenn, sorry, the Jets' other Aaron, he has a hard task ahead of him. I don't know if they keep Aaron Rodgers. I don't know what they do at quarterback. That's for them to find out. But I think he can do something well. He's a defensive guy. He has a really great defense. And like I said, he was on the Jets, so he wanted that, like, he has that want and desire to see the Jets do well. Speaking of the Jets, Coach Ulbrich is actually apparently on the Falcons as their defensive coordinator. That happened, I guess, a while ago, but I never knew that. I'd never seen that anywhere. So that's on me. That's my bad. That's bad journalism. Bad standards on my part. I need to be better at what I'm doing. Shouts to Pat McAfee Show journalistic standards, but I need to be better at what I'm doing because I didn't even know. I actually seen on the Pat McAfee Show I was watching today, I seen that the Atlanta Falcons had their defensive coordinator spot filled, and I was like, I didn't even hear that they fired anybody. Who do they even have to fire? How are they firing their defensive coordinator if their coach is a defensive guy? And then I was like, okay, I do remember actually talking about that with my buddy. But then I was like, wait a minute. When did Jeff Ulbrich go there? Like, I didn't even know he left the Jets. I just thought the Jets were like, oh, yeah, hey, we fired our coach way early in the year. Now it's like, now what are we going to do? But, yeah, good for the Jets, good for Aaron Glenn, good for Ben Johnson, good for Caleb Williams and the Bears because they're going to have a better, like an actual decent offense probably for once. Good for Kevin O'Connell. He got that money, got paid. Good for Ulbrich. He gets the some GMs got hired. The Titans, they grabbed the old Chiefs or some former Chiefs exec right now. He was on the Chiefs. And then Mike Borgonzi, that is now the Titans GM. He's already there. He's already ready to play. He said he wants to go really hard at attacking getting a new franchise quarterback, which is good because the guy that they have is not him. Sorry to Will Levis. Cool guy. He's not him. Yeah, so he's ready to attack, right? They have the number 1 overall pick, so he's probably going to go do a lot of scouting, a lot of research. Good for him. Good for the Titans. That's really good first thing to come out about your new GM. Obviously, he's really good at personnel probably since he was part of that Chiefs staff that was signing a lot of great personnel because they really don't miss. And then also Las Vegas went and got a Tampa Bay executive as their GM. John Spytek. I don't know much about him either, but he did come from Tampa. Tampa has had pretty good, decent draft classes lately, right? He's up there in the assistant GM area or whatever. I don't know exactly what he served. But Tampa Bay was a well-run organization. They kind of were like, and obviously I'm assuming he probably worked there when Tom Brady, who is the owner of Las Vegas, or partial owner of Las Vegas, who is involved in these hirings and firings. I'm assuming Brady has a good relationship with this guy. And obviously, if Brady thinks that this dude's good and well fit to run an organization, the guy's probably pretty good and well fit to run an organization. So that's great for him. So obviously they're reuniting. There has to be something there. Probably a good thing. Trent Baalke as a GM was fired. Weird move. The Jaguars kind of held on to him, but then it was like, oh, why did you hold on to him? And they were like, actually, yeah, good point. Why did we hold on to him? And then 2 weeks after they fired the coach, they've let him go, which the Raiders kind of did the same thing. They fired their coach, but it was like 2 days later they fired their GM, right? This one's weird. They waited 2 weeks to just fire Trent Baalke. I don't know if it was like because right, and they also had the offensive coordinator for the Bucks, Liam Cohen. He came in, but then he withdrew from the head coaching. He withdrew himself from Jaguars head coaching capabilities or availability to stay with the Buccaneers as their offensive coordinator and got like a new contract, which is probably a better option. I'd rather be on the Buccaneers coaching staff than I would be on the Jaguars coaching staff. I know, like they say, you only get so many options to head coach, but if he has another great year of offensive coordinating, guess what? Ben Johnson just did the same thing. He waited, was patient. He probably got a better situation. I don't know if you really consider the Bears a better situation than the Jaguars, or if you consider them equally bad, but that's up to you to decide. I think the Bears are probably actually a harder situation to go to. I'd rather be the Jaguars because that's an easier conference or division. It's an easier division one to win, not a conference. That is a harder conference to win, but an easier division to win. Yeah, you paid your quarterback already, but he's had decent years. He's had good years. Caleb's had 1 year. That was all right. It was decent, but you don't know how that's going to go. And then you have you have good young talent on the Jaguars as well, which I'm sure you do on the Bears as well. But yeah, But yes, so Bucks, maybe the Bucks defensive coordinator, or maybe the Bucks offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen, maybe he just used that as leverage to get a new contract. Maybe he just never really wanted to leave. But yeah, and so they fire their GM, and that head coach pulls out. That's got to be intertwined somehow. But I think Robert Saleh goes there. Robert Saleh has coached as a linebacker coach before for the Jaguars. I think before he was the DC for before he was a defensive coordinator for the 49ers, I think he was the linebacker coach of the Jaguars. So I think he goes back. I think he's a great head coaching candidate. I think he'll be able to do great things with that defense. Trevor Lawrence may not be that happy because he wanted a younger offensive guy or whatever, right? But if he just brings in a great OC that could coach him offensively, right, that's good. And that'll go well. So I think Robert Saleh does go there, and I think things will work out there. And then speaking of defensive coordinators, the Bengals fired theirs, Lou Anarumo, so he in turn goes to Indianapolis, which is a terrible decision by Indianapolis. Lou Anarumo's defense was not good with the Bengals, and he had a decent amount of talent, so that's a problem. Why would you take somebody who couldn't coach a talented defense and then bring them to your defense that has a culture problem and is not as talented? That's whatever. That's a Jim Irsay decision right there. Of course it is. No shocker that owner and that team made a bad decision. I don't know. Because I don't think they ever should have fired Gus Bradley. Gus Bradley wasn't your issue. You didn't have a coaching issue. You had a culture issue. Excuse me. But yeah, so then the Bengals firing that defensive coordinator made sense, though, because they apparently just brought in today, right before I hopped on the pod, it was like going official that they brought in the Notre Dame defensive coordinator, Al Golden. Yes, Al Golden from Notre Dame, who just obviously almost won the national championship, had a really good, right? So you had all those defenses that were like super high ranked. Penn State, Texas, Ohio State, right, were like 1, 2, 3 defense, like in almost every category, right? And then obviously they had a bunch of 5-star recruits, huge body dudes, really able-bodied dudes. Notre Dame did not have as great of a recruiting class on defense. They did not have as great of talent or whatever, right, on defense. Obviously, clearly they had better than Penn State's. But yes, they didn't have as highly touted or like looked at defense, but they played well. Like going like so, right? That's the Final Four. You have like 1, 2, 3 best defenses in the National College Athletic Association of football, and then you have the like 20th. I don't know. Notre Dame was like 20th, but right, they were playing like they were a top 4 defense, obviously, or they wouldn't have gotten there. And that's probably due to that defensive coordinator. So now that you give him that talent with that team, if the Bengals keep a lot of the same talent, I don't know what's going to happen with T. Higgins, right? Because there's an issue there. But they're probably going to pay Jamar. That's without a doubt. He just went off. And so they're going to have Jamar. They're going to have Joe Burrow. Hopefully they get a running game. Well, not for me because I'm a Steelers fan, so hopefully they don't. But for the Bengals' sake, they need a running game. They need a running game. They need another wide receiver if they don't get T. Higgins back, and then they have a good defense. So if they could just keep those players and then maybe add some more throughout the draft or whatever, with that great defensive coordinator, that could be good stuff. Because even Zach Taylor is not really the best offensive coach, but it doesn't really matter because his offense looks great every year because it's ran by Joe Burrow, who's, if not the most talented, the second most talented quarterback in the NFL. Like, I'm telling you, after this weekend, if Josh Allen doesn't win, my top 3 quarterbacks are Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels. Not necessarily in that order. Well, actually, probably in that order. But because until Joe Burrow reaches like one more notch, he's got it. Like Pat Mahomes is doing crazy stuff, and he's just too good. And I liked him before. I liked him on Texas Tech. I like Patrick Mahomes. So you can't call me a bandwagoner. And I'm not even a Chiefs fan, so you can't call me a bandwagoner. And I don't want to see him win a Super Bowl. So you definitely can't call me a hype train rider or bandwagoner, right? Whatever you want to call me. But yeah, so the Bengals' whole defensive coordinator situation, massive upgrade. I'm taking Al Golden over Lou Anarumo any day. Indy, you can have him. Keep him. Man, good for the Bengals. Bad for the rest of the league because if they have a good defense and they have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase on offense, good luck. Good luck stopping that team. And then they had the sack leader this year too, and they're giving the sack leader to this great defensive mind. Good luck. Bengals, watch out. Watch out for the Bengals next year. They are making the playoffs. But yeah, and then for the other 4 openings, I did say I think Saleh will go to the Jags. We discussed that. And then so you also have the Las Vegas, Dallas, and New Orleans openings. I think New Orleans keeps Coach Rizzi. The players seem to love him. It's going to be kind of like an Antonio Pierce kind of situation. They keep Rizzi, see if he can do well. He was already in the organization. It's easier change. I think that's what happens. Like Alvin Kamara likes him. Derek Carr likes him. A lot of these people like a lot of their staple players in New Orleans like him. So that's good. I'm thinking in Las Vegas, I'll give Las Vegas and Dallas, I'll give them 2 people. I think Las Vegas is either going to sign Mike McCarthy or Pete Carroll. And either way, I think it's great for that team. Because if they get Pete Carroll, their defense will be amazing. That'll be a coach. That'll be a coach that has been to a Super Bowl and is great at one side of the ball. Just has to get a guy that's great on the other side, or good or great on the other side of the ball, and then we'll maximize their potential on that other side, right? And then the GM will obviously help them because Tom Brady likes that GM, and then Tom Brady's familiar with Pete Carroll because he beat him in a Super Bowl. He actually probably lost him his job. Why not? Yeah, so he's going to have to repay him by giving him a new job. And then also Mike McCarthy, you bring him in, you get whatever quarterback or whatever, hopefully they can get a quarterback right in the draft. Or they're going to have to get a quarterback somewhere, whether or not it's the draft or somewhere else. But right, you bring Mike McDaniels, you bring Mike McCarthy in. Him and Brady also probably have some kind of relationship because they were both doing great things together in the league for the last 2 decades. He's also been to a Super Bowl. Whether or not people want to give Aaron Rodgers credit for that or not, Mike McCarthy was a big part of that. And then also he would just have to find a defensive guy, which I'm sure he has connections, same way as Pete Carroll. So it's whether or not they want to go defense or offense, but those are really their best 2 options. And if they sign somebody else, I will be not only surprised, but I'll be appalled. I'll be like, why did they do that? But Tom Brady's a part of it, so I'm sure he'll make a great decision. So we'll have to see how that works out. But then in Dallas, I think they're going offense all the way, and I think they're either going Marty Schottenheimer, who's already the offensive coordinator on the team, or they're going Kellen Moore, who was the offensive coordinator on the team. But that's the thing. I don't think they can have both because, right, you can't have 2, obviously, offensive coordinators unless they're running similar offense and they just both really want to stay there, right? Like, say you give Kellen Moore, which would technically hurt the Eagles. I don't think it would. My friend Jacob had a really great quote. He was like, yeah, I actually hope Kellen Moore goes to the Cowboys because I love them not winning Super Bowls. And I was like, well, I actually fully agree with that because, man. But, yeah, so I think it's going to be one of those two. They both have great relationships with Dak. You're kind of stuck with Dak because you paid him $60 million. I'm sure a whole chunk of that is guaranteed money, even though he gets injured every damn year. But, yeah, so you paid Dak. He's probably going to be a big part of – I mean, also Jerry Jones doesn't give a damn what his players think. What am I talking about? So Jerry Jones will sign some crazy head coaching candidate. I'm not going to lie. Actually, when he picked Mike McCarthy, I was like, why did he do that? But that was a really smart choice. But then what did he do? He played Mike McCarthy's feelings like he was like some high school girl and got rid of him. Like, I was like, what are you doing? But, yeah, so we'll see who Dallas signs. That's a shot in the dark. I don't think it's going to be Coach Prime. A lot of people have that steamrolling for a minute. As much as he loves the Jones family and they're, like, connected, I don't think it's going to be Coach Prime. But, yeah. Well, so we'll see what happens in Dallas. It's going to be crazy. I'm sure of it. But, yeah, so then we're going to have to roll into the offseason, and then all these coaches are going to be figured out. The Super Bowl winners are going to be figured out. The draft order is going to be figured out. I'm looking forward to so much. And then Khalil Mack is going to be a free agent. He apparently today got released. He told the Chargers he was going to wait and take some time, kind of like some Stafford kind of thing, which hopefully Stafford comes back, right? But he told the team that he needed to take some time to make his decision on whether or not he was going to retire or come back, or right. And then he said he's going to come back and he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. So good for Khalil Mack. Welcome back to the NFL. But yeah, so that's about all I got for you today. A little recap. Great weekend of football that just happened. Great day, I guess, of football that's coming up on Sunday. Just keep your eyes out. We might start incorporating other sports into the show if there's like not enough football to talk about, but I could talk ball all day, so we'll just see. Also, obviously the NBA and other sports will be heating up. Speaking of which, get Jimmy Butler to the Suns pronto, please. I'm a Suns fan. I love Jimmy Butler as well. Get him there. I don't care what it takes. The Suns just made a trade to get more draft picks to get him. He's getting suspended by the Heat again. Just get him over there. Let him play. Let the man play basketball. He's too good to not be playing basketball. Also, Ichiro Suzuki is in the Hall of Fame. So is CC Sabathia, but I care more about Ichiro. Ichiro was amazing. I loved watching him grow up. I used to play baseball games. I'd play with the Seattle Mariners just to play with Ichiro. That's how good he was. But yeah, so there's a little bit of other sports. I do have knowledge. UFC 311 actually as well. I talked about that a little bit on the last podcast. UFC 311 was great. A little mix-up on the fights because there was an injury, a little pull-out at the end right the day before. But Dana White knows how to put on a show. That LA stadium looks amazing. That Clipper Stadium, oh my gosh. But yeah, so we might start incorporating the other sports again soon as they start to come more into relevancy. And then as football starts to fade more out of relevancy, but also we will be talking about the offseason. But yeah, so that is all for today. And then I will have my better quality video for next time. I'm working on creating a logo as well for the pod. But yeah, if you guys have any suggestions, DM me on any of my socials. They're all on my YouTube page as well. And I also I have X, I have TikTok, I have Instagram, I got Snapchat. If you find me somewhere, I have Facebook even, DM me if you have any suggestions or anything like that. But yes, so just another great live show. We went a little bit over an hour, sorry, but thank you for everybody who stayed here. But yeah, just another great, wonderful Wednesday with Wes, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, Green on Sports, we'll be back next Wednesday as planned. I moved up to the 6 o'clock start time just so I can get things done, get things started earlier and done later. I didn't really need the 6:30. I was ready to go at 6. So that's probably the move moving forward. But yes, thank you to everybody who came out, watched, and supported. We had a little comment from Noah. He tuned in. He's all the way in England, and he's tuning in. So why not y'all? But thank you so much to everybody. Oh, Kevin Lopez as well. Yes, my other brother, Kevin. Thank you so much. Appreciate it greatly. Yeah, but this is today's episode, and please come back next Wednesday. Much love to anybody who tunes in and reaches out, of course. Kevin, love you too, man. But yeah, I really appreciate it, and I will be back next Wednesday for more to do of what I love. Good night, y'all. Peace out.